Today we're going to be talking about... Today we're going to talk about... Oh, ouch. Ouch. Oh. Today we're going to be talking about the... No, don't get too close to that. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Minecraft The Journey with me, BugmanCX. That's right, that's me right here, and here we are in Minecraft Beta 1.7, and in today's episode we have got some really interesting things to look at. You see, I've been going through this book that I found here, and one of the things that it's been telling me is that I can make a fancy new block called a piston. And the piston allows us to do all sorts of amazing things. Move blocks around, create doors, use it in redstone. There's too much for us to cover right here in this intro. So I'm really excited to explore where this block came from, what the history is, and what we can do with it. So I expect all sorts of shenanigans, experimentations, and all sorts of other things too. So let me go and get myself prepared, get my stuff organized, and we can start exploring the piston. Here we are with the pistons, and we have two types of pistons to play with. First is the regular piston, and of course the sticky piston. Now before we get into the details of these too much, let's figure out what the crafting recipe is for each of these two types. First, to craft a regular piston, we need blocks arranged like so, and to craft a sticky piston, we need a piston and a slime ball. So let's just take all of this into my inventory. Let's pop these here as well. And in the crafting bench here, we're going to get 3 wooden planks on the top, cobblestone like so. We need our redstone at the bottom and an iron ingot in the middle. And there we go. That crafts up our piston. Now, of course, to make that sticky piston, all we need to do is just take a regular piston and then put some slime on it. And there we go. We have ourselves a sticky piston. Now, the most important property of a piston, of course, is its ability to push blocks. So I've put a block here in front of this piston, and when I activate it with this button, you can see that the piston head pushes the block into this space here. Now, this is a one-way operation because the piston has pushed the block there and just left it there. But with the sticky piston, well, we'll see in a minute, it is possible to do more than just that. Now, the regular piston has a push limit as well. So here we have 12 blocks in a row. Up here is the 12 block limit. So let's see what happens when I push the button. And as you can see, it's pushed all of these blocks all the way out here and pushed it out one further. If I were to add another block to the end and then try that again, it would just not push. Nothing would happen. Over here we have a sticky piston. The interesting property of the sticky piston is that it's capable of pushing blocks but also pulling blocks. So here I've put a block in front of the sticky piston, although it has got a 1 block space in between. What's going to happen when I press the button is that the piston head will extend into this block, and then because it's a sticky piston, it'll grab onto this block and then pull it back into this space. So let's watch that happening. There you go, you can see it pulling the block back into that space. And if I repeat that button press, it pushes the block out and then pulls it back in. So that is a really interesting mechanic for redstone circuits and doors and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with that. Of course, the sticky piston also has a push limit. Unfortunately, I've forgotten to set up the button. Hold on. There we are, so we have another 12 blocks here with a sticky piston, and this time if I press the button, you'll see the blocks get pushed out, but only the first block gets pulled back, and that's of course because the sticky piston is capable of pulling blocks back, but none of these further down the line here, none of those further down the line are attached in any way, so they're unable to be retracted. And of course, the sticky piston can operate at all sorts of different orientations. In this orientation here, I have a regular piston, which you can see pushes the block up and then leaves it up here in the sky because there's nothing for it to stick onto. And here we've got some sand, which is interesting. If I push that up, you can see that the piston pushes up the sand blocks, but gravity takes care of bringing them back down again. All right, it's time to take a little look at the history of the piston. I want to understand where the idea for them came from and how they ended up in the game. By 2011, Minecraft was growing from a huge interest of community modders, and forum posts were often filled with suggestions and ideas about what people thought should be added to the game. All sorts of new mechanics have been suggested by players before, from moving platforms to ropes, winches, and pulleys, but to find where the idea of pistons was first mentioned, we need to go back, surprisingly, back to Notch's blog. On May 21st, 2009, Notch posted a list of ideas for new tiles that he thought he might add in the future, and it looks like a lot of them had come from community suggestions. And you can see near the bottom here that he's listed a pulley type of block that would be capable of pushing and pulling blocks. Pulley 1 pulls blocks up when a pulse is received. Pulley 2 pushes blocks up when a pulse is received. If you look even closer, you can even see early redstones mentioned in this post. But wait, let's think about how far back this really is. When Notch had posted about this, Minecraft had only been publicly released for a couple of weeks, and when this post went out, the latest public version was 0.0.12a_03. Wow. On March 28, 2011, Hippoplatymus, a 15-year-old Minecraft modder, posted a public version of a mod they'd been working on, which made this whole idea tangible. The Piston mod. This mod was originally released for Beta 1.4 and quickly became very popular. This mod introduced the piston and the sticky piston to the game, and these blocks were capable of pushing and pulling other blocks as well as players. But this mod went on to become such a game-changing mod for Minecraft, especially for Redstone, that players were using it to build new farms, doors, and machines in Minecraft that had never been possible before. Many players expressed interest in seeing this mod incorporated into the game, and Jeb responded to this excitement, tweeting, "I love the piston mod, but don't intentionally copy mods. Either Hippoplatymus submits the mod to us, or we wait until the API can support it." Jeb wasn't going to pursue the author of this mod himself to get it added to the game, so it was going to be up to Hippoplatymus to decide if that's what they wanted to do and get in touch with Jeb to get it added to the game. I saw Jeb's tweet and plan on submitting the mod to him. After all, what could be better for the mod than to have it immortalized in Minecraft itself? Well, with the success of Minecraft these days, one would probably argue some money, but that's not how things operated back then. Anyway, Hippoplatymus ended up emailing Jeb, but after a few days got a bit worried about the lack of a reply. Still nothing from Jeb. I'm worried that I should have sent it to a different email address. Oh no! Maybe Jeb wasn't interested after all, or maybe he was too busy. So users began reaching out to Jeb, who confirmed that he hadn't heard anything. But everything was fine. Hippoplatymus saw Jeb's tweet and sent Jeb a brand new email. And yes, Jeb confirmed that he did see this one. And with all of that out of the way, things started to move quickly. The next day, Jeb tweeted out virtually confirming that it was going to be added to the game, with just a few minor changes. Notch also mentioned this in his own blog on the same day. But it was happening. Things were starting to move, with Jeb tweeting a couple of days later, "Looking at Hippoplatymus's piston mod stuff now." Fast forward a little to June, and Jeb finally gets started on the development work needed to put the pistons into the core game. Okay, time for the piston mod. It's incredible how much more dull something is when there's little room left for my own creativity. Aw, poor Jeb. I guess this goes to show how complete Hippoplatymus's mod was at the time. If Jeb didn't need to make any creative changes of his own, then it sounds like it was pretty well thought out. A week or so later, and we got our first look at the new pistons. This is what the pistons currently look like. May change. They will not be called pistons later on though. So if they were possibly not going to be called pistons, I wonder what else they were going to call them. Anyway, here's the pic. Check them out. They look pretty similar to the final product, but the iron is much more pronounced on the piston head in this version. Another week on, and the work was done. On June 14th, Jeb tweeted out a demo video showing off the new pistons, but by now their texture had changed to the current texture. A couple of bits of trivia about this video is that Jeb shows off a piston door, which went on to be known as the Jeb door. And this video also shows off another incidental feature, torches on fences. This was added in Beta 1.7 as well, but nobody was publicly aware of this change until eagle-eyed viewers had spotted it in Jeb's video. And finally, On June 30th, 2011, Beta 1.7 was released, complete with pistons. And that's where we are now. But I'm really curious about the original piston mod and to see what pistons were like before they went into the proper game. Minecraft The Journey is about exploring Minecraft's vanilla game history, and I normally wouldn't cover anything modded as part of that. But when something so radically important makes its way from a mod into the core vanilla game, I feel like it's right to at least explore it and take a look. Well, here I am in a brand new temporary world, and this is where we're going to be testing out the original Pistons mod. Now, this is actually running Minecraft Beta 1.6.6, and the reason that I'm running Beta 1.6.6 is because as the Piston mod continued to develop between Beta 1.4 and 1.6.6, by the time we reached Beta 1.7, of course, it was being incorporated into the main game, so there was no need for future versions of this mod after 1.6.6. So I've got myself a crafting grid here, and you'll see when I load this up that I've also installed the Too Many Items mod here just to help me get all the materials that I need to build whatever it is that I want to build while we test this out. I've already placed these items in my inventory here because this is what we need to craft up the old school piston. So this is the recipe for the original piston. It is a shape like this and one redstone in the middle, and we get ourselves a piston. Have a look at that. So this is the original piston from the original Pistons mod. The texture of this is basically just the iron block texture re-wrapped around this particular shape. And I think the reason for that is that this was just a temporary texture. I mean, it wasn't the final version of this block, so it was intended to be changed maybe in the future, who knows. But this is what it looks like, and this is how all of the players would have played with this particular block. Now, what can I do with this that's a little bit different to the vanilla version of Pistons? Well, I can right-click on the block, and when I right-click on the block, it'll flip the direction of the piston around to face me. So, for example, if I stand here and right-click it, the piston is now facing me, and so on and so forth. This is just a really convenient way of changing the orientation of the block, but I can see how it would become pretty annoying if you're trying to build a contraption and then, just accidentally right-click. Oh, it doesn't work on this side. There we go. Accidentally right-click and it changes the direction of your piston. I think it also works from the top. Yep, because pistons can obviously move in any direction. But I suppose if I wanted to do it from the bottom, I would have to go down into the ground like this and do it from underneath. Yep, of course, of course. Let's get out of here. Okay. So pistons, just like in vanilla Minecraft, let me get it from the top. Thank you. These are powered by redstone signals as well. So let's find a lever in here. I'm not so accustomed to using this particular tool. In fact, this is my first time ever using this particular tool. There we go. Okay, levers. There we go. Now, if I place that down on the ground, it should provide power to the piston and it should extend. Oh, look at that. That's a gloriously smooth animation, I would say. Shame there's no sound, but it works very, very well. Now, of course, if I take my... let's take some blocks. Let's get some... No, not snow, because it's the same color. Let's get something that is just... that stands out a little bit more. Dirt. Wonderful, wonderful dirt. Okay. Oh, that was interesting. I right-clicked on the piston to place a dirt block on the top of it, and it changed orientation. I guess there is the proof that this gets very annoying. Anyway, let me jump up here, reorientate it to this direction, and maybe stand on top of it and place the dirt like that. Okay, so as we can see, the piston head is here. So if I activate it now, it pushes the dirt block up just like the pistons in our current versions of Minecraft. And then as I press the lever again, it retracts. And just like Minecraft, it leaves the block there exactly where it is. Now, one of the biggest differences between this and the modern versions, let's just go over here, and in the end here, there should be tons of pistons. Okay, there we go, tons of pistons. We have one piston here. Now, we should also be able to get some more blocks, and in this case, we should be able to push 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so that's quite a few blocks. Let's run over here and we'll power up this piston. And we should see it move. And it has. It's moved all 16 blocks. Now, why does it move 16 blocks when Minecraft regular only moves 12? Well, it turns out that that was because of Jeb. Jeb decided that 12 was enough. He didn't want to implement the ability to push 16 blocks. I don't know, creative choice, I suppose, but it is what it is. But now you know the reason why it's fixed at 12 blocks. So this is a really great contraption for moving blocks around, but what else can we do with it? Aha, okay, so let's get rid of this dirt block. In my inventory, I'm going to find sand blocks. There we go, sand blocks. Let's place a sand block on the top of this piston, and in fact, oh, that's a bit slow. I just want to get rid of this clay. All right, we're all set here. I've got my sand block on an upwards facing piston connected to this redstone wire and this lever. And let's see what the biggest difference is between the pistons mod and regular Minecraft when it comes to pushing a gravity block upwards like this. Now in regular Minecraft, the piston pushes up and the block above it gets pushed up as well. And then when you retract the piston, because it's a gravity block, it just drops back down. And let's have a look at what happens in this mod. Are you ready for this? Because this is going to be great. It launches it into the sky. Ah, look at that. Why? Why didn't Jeb include this functionality into the game? This could have made for some really amazing looking machines and really fantastic visual functionality. And in our version of Minecraft, we just get a boring old block being pushed up and then kind of dropping back down. Of course, if I depower it, you can see that the sand block just drops down that last little block as well. But, oh, that is so amazing. Why couldn't they include that? Jeb, what were you thinking? Look at that. So satisfying. In addition to just this regular type of piston here, there is actually another piston which we can craft, and that is the sticky piston. Although, unlike in the regular version of Minecraft where you can craft a sticky piston with a piston and some slime, the crafting recipe for the pistons mod is a little bit unintuitive, I suppose. The piston here is crafted from mostly iron, so if we head over to the crafting table over here, we're going to craft a sticky piston using mostly gold. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but that's what the recipe is. I presume what the author was going for here was that these pistons are made mostly out of metals, so the sticky piston is made out of an alternative metal. That would be my guess anyway. But let's have a look at this. They behave exactly the same way on first appearance, but when we put a block here and a block here, watch what happens. I think you know what's going to happen, but let's watch anyway. The sticky piston and the regular piston push the blocks out, and when they retract, the sticky piston pulls back the block that's in front of it. Now, this behaves the same way as the regular Minecraft does, where if it pushes out multiple blocks, it's only capable of pushing back a single block like that. Or pulling back, I should say. So these are the two types of pistons that are available in the piston mod. Very, very similar to the ones that were added into the vanilla game, except for, of course, the amazing features like this, which sadly didn't make it into the game, and the amazingly smooth animations. There's actually one other thing that I wanted to take a look at, and that is, let me see if I can get a better view of this. I wanted to take a closer look at the physical dimensions of the pistons from the piston mod when compared to the pistons we got in beta 1.7. Let's call them the Jeb pistons. If I just extend these two pistons, you can see that the shape of the piston head itself is very, very thick. To me, it looks like these pistons have a lot of pushing power, whereas the very, very narrow dimensions of the piston head from beta 1.7, to me, feels a lot more flimsy. So these definitely feel a lot more sturdy. The other interesting thing about the pistons is that it's actually made up of 2 blocks per piston when it's in its extended state. So let's just depower these for a moment. We here just have a single piston and sticky piston block. When I extend them, the game creates an additional block here, and you saw it get pushed up and occupy this little space up here. And I'm not sure exactly how that works under the hood, but effectively this is now 2 actual blocks. And we can verify this by having a look in the inventory here, where using the Too Many Items mod, I've pulled out the piston and the piston head, the sticky piston and the sticky piston head, and put them into my inventory here. And we can take a look at these. So if I just pop them down into the hotbar here, we can see that they have no texture because these were never really intended to be used like this. So they just have the standard iron texture there. But if I place them down on the ground like so, we can actually see the piston in its placed down state, which is a little bit weird. It's an upside down piston. You can even see that it has a backside texture here, which you wouldn't normally be able to see. And to me, this looks like a little bit of a bell. Well, I think that's just about everything I wanted to cover with these old school pistons from before they were added to Beta 1.7. Well, almost everything. You see, I've got here an apple, and it's my understanding that just like the sand blocks over here, if I put an entity on top of the piston like so, and give it power, it should fling itself into the sky. That is amazing. Jeb, why didn't you include this? Can you imagine how cool that would look if you just had some sort of machine flinging items up into the sky like that? That would be incredible. But it's even better than that, because let's just pop up here. We'll put my player up here because exactly the same thing should happen to me. Are we ready for this? Let's do it. Wow. Okay, I take some damage, but... oh, I forgot to depower it. There we go. But, wow, that's really, really awesome. Now, if only one of these mobs around me here, they've been annoying me throughout the recording of this whole thing, if only one of them would pop itself up onto the top of this piston so that we could try that out for ourselves. But yeah, none of them are going to cooperate, are they? Unless... come on, zombies, you can do it. Yes! Oh, that was incredible. All right, contestant number 2. Come on, contestant number 2. You see me. Let's do it. Come on, come on. Yes! Oh, amazing, amazing. Just hop up there, hop up there. This isn't really conducive to... creepers. Well, what you're looking at here is the end result of about 3 creepers exploding around me. What a mess. Luckily, that is the end of our time here in this temporary world. So, I'm just gonna keep doing this until I die. Oh, what a great day. And I'm going to head back to my regular journey world and try and get back to a bit of a sense of normality. It is such a shame that you do take damage, because this is almost such a fun way of... why isn't it working? Anyway, it's a fun way of interacting with the world. Let's head back to normal. Well, that was definitely a very interesting episode today, and I quite enjoyed going off and having a look at the pistons from a very different perspective. But don't worry, there's actually plenty more that we still need to explore with the pistons, and that'll be happening in the upcoming episodes. I hope you enjoyed yourself as well. So if you did enjoy today's episode, then thank you very much for watching. And I want to say a super special thank you to my amazing patrons who support me. And if you want to do the same, then there are links in the description box below, which you can go and check out. So, until the next episode, this has been BugmanCX. You've been watching Minecraft The Journey. Bye-bye. Oh, there's just no peace and quiet here today, is there? Constant disruptions from farm animals and... now creepers.